Today, you're going to see a lot of cutting and a lot of welding, but it's all going to be worth it.
Yeah.
Because today, I finally finished my custom truck bumper. Now, a lot of fab work already went into this bumper before this video, so if you're curious as to how I did that, you can go ahead and watch the part 1 video to this series, which there's a link in the description. And I also spend a little bit of time talking about how I came up with the geometry of the bumper itself, and it might be a good idea to have that information just for watching this video. One of the consequences of not working off any kind of design is things aren't always exactly the way you want them. I don't like how this angle is sloped back. I really want it to be straight up and down. Fortunately, I think I'm going to be able to nip off the corner just a little bit and not take anything off the top. And that'll get the angle where I want it, so the rest of the bumper is going to be closer to what I'm looking for. In an ideal world. Yeah, that's what I'm looking for. A lot of elbow grease goes into a project like this, so you end up with tons of video of just cutting, grinding, and welding. If you watched the part 1 video, you already know what I'm doing with the cardboard here. If you didn't, I'm basically just cutting the cardboard so I don't have to cut a piece of metal instead. And if the cardboard fits, then I cut the metal to be the same size as the cardboard. Now, at first I thought the cardboard trick was going to be a bit of a joke, but after a little bit of practice, the pieces ended up fitting shockingly well, and I mean, this trick worked out great every time. Finally got the bumper mostly fabbed up, so got it off the truck, moved it into the garage. Which garage, you ask? That's a great question. Strange garage. Thanks for asking. But the reason I moved it into the garage is because a couple of reasons. One, I'd much rather weld in there than right here. And two, the paint that I'm going to put on there, for it to properly cure, it can't be out here. It's just going to be too cold for it to work out. Well, this probably gives you a pretty good idea of the scale of project I've taken on. So before we get too far ahead of ourselves, I'm going to take a gusset, I'm going to weld it to the front here, and the length of it is going to be from one support to the next. And what that's going to do is not only is it going to make this a lot more dimensionally stable, but it's going to tie these two support brackets together. And the whole point of that is, since the winch is attaching to the front, we want everything to be as strong as possible, especially right here, and that's going to do that. So I'm at the stage in the project right now where there's just tons of wire to be laid down. There's a bunch of unwelded gaps because I basically just tacked everything up at this point. So now I need to go back through and fill it all up. Before I was finished completely welding the bumper, the unthinkable happened. Well, everybody, I'm afraid I have some bad news. The Harbor Freight welder that I bought in 2012, that I abused the hell out of, that I put tons of wire through, made tons of projects with, appears to be broken. It's a sad day. I don't mean to sound heartless, but I think the right thing to do in a situation like this, obviously we mourn the loved and lost, but we finished the job with the Harbor Freight TIG welder. It's what he would have wanted. You can't tell because I'm holding my emotions together really well, but I'm really torn up about my welder breaking. Of course, I'm always looking for a good excuse to use my TIG welder, but I really could have done without this happening today. Now that I got everything welded up, there's some good welds, there's some bad welds, there's spatter everywhere, but it's not a big deal. I'm going to put truck bed liner on there. I was not concerned with perfection with this bumper. I just wanted to finish it. If I was concerned about perfection, I would have started it with the TIG welder. But I wanted to show you guys what you could do with a really cheap welder and a little bit of time. And that's what I accomplished here. So now, hopefully this will cover up all the little imperfections. I know I said I wasn't concerned about perfection, but I'd like it to look decent. Application of this stuff is pretty simple. Just put it on this little spongy roller guy, move it around a little bit. Now you definitely want to wear gloves when you do this, because if you were to get this stuff on your hands, it's going to be like having sex with a gorilla. It's not coming off until it's off. Well, right now it doesn't look very good, but I'll bet you as soon as it's dry and we get it out into the sunlight, it won't look too bad. So after the first coat, I really hated the texture that came out, and it looked like it was like super glossy, which I know it does now, but it's also super wet. But after the second coat, it's all really tacky, so I just went back through and went over it again, and the texture from the sponge is kind of rolling off onto the bumper, and it's giving us that look that we're going for. It's a hell of a lot better. And at first I was like, oh man, I'm kind of throwing away a whole lot of work here, but this is making me feel really good now that I'm actually starting to get the results that I'm looking for. Final thoughts. At first I wasn't sure if I really liked the bumper or not, but at the end of the day, it only cost me about $200 to make it, which brings the total build cost for the truck up to about $1,200, and that's even including the air horn. Yeah. Honestly, it doesn't look too bad. I hope that this video inspires you guys to pick up on a project that you've been thinking about for a long time. This project has been fun, but I'm glad it's done. Anyway, thanks for doing your part to help make this world a strange place.